Alright guys, welcome back to the Acer Team Story Cup that you're watching on Base Trade TV, and I am of course Rifkin. And before we get anything, up in the top right you can see the score of the series so far, Quantic versus Axiom. Now of course we're playing on the Korean server, so you guys probably won't recognize these names. I'll try to use them as much as I can instead of blue and Zerg and red and Zerg and anything like that. But spawning here in the upper right corner of the map, playing for Axiom. It is their newest, I don't know what you want to call it, pickup I guess? It is Impact. And his opponent in the lower left, playing for Quantic Gaming, it is, of course, one of Quantic's newest players. Oh yeah. Netanyas, no. Well, at least, okay, since if he's lagging out this early, we may actually be able to remake for him. I don't know if the admins do or don't. I don't know the rules of this cup, because they don't remake for me, but Netanyas, of course, being one of the main casters for this, may in fact get a remake, and if he does great, fantastic, then he'll be still with the game. But it sucks to lag out so early, but I guess it's better than lagging out in the middle of an important fight or something. But anyways, his opponent in the lower left, I can't really do a camera swivel, but you can see he's the red Zerg from Quantic Gaming. It is Gamja, whose name actually means potato in Korean apparently. So I think we actually had a match not too long ago. We had Jigwa. I didn't get to cast it, but there was Jigwa from Invictus Gaming versus Gamja, and that's potato versus watermelon. All we needed was Fruit Dealer to cast it. Hi-oh! Sub 5. But yeah, so just waiting to see if we get a remake before we get too much into the banter of this game. Quick question too while we wait to see what the verdict's going to be, guys. We've been tossed around the idea of a silent broadcast, kind of an alternative stream, not to replace Base Trade TV, but to be run in tandem with Base Trade TV. So for example, let's say we're casting this match and there's an extra observer slot available. What we would do is have a second channel set up as the silent broadcast where there's no casting whatsoever, just observing in-game sounds. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that, because it's something we've been toying around with. Not sure if we'll follow through with it or not, because it takes a lot of dedication and work, but if it's something that you think would maybe appeal to the masses of people who come in and troll the stream from time to time, I think it's worth trying out. But it looks like we are going to keep going with this, so if someone's over in Nathaniel's chat, you can tell he's more than welcome. Oh, I guess we can't really restream because of the delay. Oh, that sucks. Alright, well, and I was getting into this, of course, Gamja is the red Quantic player, and the blue Zerg player from Axiom is, of course, Impact. Two, again, very new players for each of these respective teams. This is not Crank. This is not Hyun. These are not the flagship players for each of these teams. So I actually kind of like that they're getting a chance to play out early. You typically don't get, usually when there's a big important cup like the Acer Team Story Cup, when there's anything that even has money on the line, you expect people to just throw out like their best players initially and hope for the best, but go with the kind of the newbies. I like it. I like it a lot. It's kind of a good chance to showcase these players in a series where, you're up one, you're down one, whatever it is. Impact, of course, being the newest edition, probably doesn't need as much of an introduction as Gamja does, because Gamja is from a much larger team. Axiom is kind of that close-knit, tight group of players, and Quantic's just got a lot. They got a huge academy, which is awesome. Some of my favorite players are there. Shout out to Caitlin and Ace Kate, if you guys will. I'm sure we'll see that in chat after you guys hear it. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But getting into the nitty-gritty of this game, the reality is this boils down to ZVZ. For ZVZ, a lot of the times you would expect to see roaches, but I find that's not really the case anymore. I mean, for a long time we saw the Spore Crawlers kind of kill the Mutalisks, and we didn't see Mutalisks for God knows how long. But now we're seeing a lot more Zergling Baneling aggression, which I find fantastic. It's so fun to watch that, especially when players of high caliber can actually match each other. One player just doesn't lose to like 3 Banelings. However, if it gets past that stage of the game, we've seen Mutalisks get recycled quite nicely. The Spore Crawlers are still just as good as ever. There's no mistaking that. But I think people have realized, like, while they're a big deterrent, the mobility from the Mutalisks sometimes just really outclasses the power that is the roaches. Okay, Ling's just awkwardly dancing in the middle of the map. Let's check vision. So, Impact's seen a little bit, but not too much. And Gamja has seen everything so far, including gas timing, so that's pretty cool.
First blood.
Alright. Ling gets killed, so sadly that means he can't continue scouting through the base of poor Gamja. I shouldn't say poor Gamja. It's really nice for him actually denying a scout like that. Not letting your opponent see your gas timings. 2 queens at the front lines like this. It's not really a big tell, but we got Impact coming with a lot of lings. No Banling Nest down just yet, so this is just going to be a big flood of lings. And he's going to hope to get surrounds off on these queens that are going to be out of position. But a full wall off, if he sees this coming, he sees this coming. He saw that with the Overlord. If he gets a full wall off, he's actually good. But oh no, Creep Tomb is going to block, so force use the queens to wall this off. No surround going to go off, and with the addition of the Spine Crawler will be okay, but this Evolution Chamber goes down, then oh, no cancel, runs right on past, goes to the main, there's no defenses here whatsoever. If Gamja pulls his workers, he should be okay. He's got a Banling Nest coming, he's just got to hold on. So stacking up the drones for the time being, going to try and reduce the damage, but of course, retreating to the natural might just be the best course of action. Yeah, with the queens coming in, might just go... Actually, he's going to keep holding in the main. I don't know if I like this choice. But queens, of course, add a lot of damage versus these very weak, very fragile units, the Zerglings. But as we see here, the mobility of speed versus non-speed, Gamja just cannot keep up, an Impact running circles around him, quite literally. How many workers killed? 10 workers killed through that, though. That's a little bit harsh. Down 33-19. Lost the natural while this was going on to a small amount of length. Spikecar doing what it can to hold on to this, but still no Banlings available just yet. Now, losing a lot of workers like this sucks, but this is not the end of the game for Gamja. He's still in this, but he's down a lot of workers, and he's not going to be able to keep making links. He's not going to be able to make a ton of roaches. He has to drone up at this point. Meanwhile, Impact's just going to casually take his lead here. Say, look, I didn't invest a lot of gas. I didn't even make Banelings. I made that happen with just Zerglings. So, ooh, these queens have got to be careful, though. Gamja, oh, this is really bold. He doesn't know if there's a big follow-up. Like, he can guess that his opponent tried to drone behind this, but that's not the case. He's got roaches coming. If he had flooded with more lings, these queens would be dead, surrounded in the middle of the map. Couple of Zerglings scuffling around here as well, but Impact is not really threatened. He's got, with roaches on the way, Banelings are a lot less scary. The Zergling count is not exactly phenomenal for Gamja, but it's enough that if you get a surround off, that'll be nice. But if he just fights around and near the Spine Crawler, the Spine Crawler adds a lot of damage, and that's cool, but it'll provide a lot of surface area to keep the lings from going for that full surround, from completely shutting down these roaches. Alright, well, Banelings were a good thought, but perhaps a little bit too late for a Quantic player. Good thing he didn't overinvest in them. Of course, if you've got a lot of Banelings and your opponent's coming at you with a big clump, and I really literally mean like a clump of roaches, Banelings are not bad. The splash damage is nice. They don't do bonus versus the armor, sadly, but I mean, if you can hit 8 roaches with 2 Banelings, hey, more power to you. Of course, the big scary thing for Gamja is he's got to worry about this push. He's going to see this coming with the Overlords, or he already saw it coming with his Overlords on the map. Creep spreading the Queens a little too far forward. Will need to pull these back. I mean, even units like a Queen right now, incredibly precious, incredibly important. Whether it's a transfuser for the Spine Crawler or their actual DPS, which is weird to consider a Queen as a DPS unit, but the small amount they provide is absolutely necessary. But looks like still not remaking any more workers, still down 24 to 47 in the worker supply. Gamja has got to make something happen. He's going to try and get a big surround on the roaches. If he gets them before they get back home, maybe that might work, but running past these, I don't know if that's going to be an option. Looks like he will get that big surround off. Will this do enough damage, though, is going to be the big question. This is so many Zerglings. No upgrades available. If he breaks the army of Impact, he can flood into the base, but never mind. Actually, another wave of roaches comes out. Can he sneak the Banelings past us, though? If he can get past us with the Banelings, if he connects to those workers, if he evens out the count just a little bit, it puts himself right back into this game. But he is all inning at this point and forced to, understandably, after losing so many workers in the early game. Getting into the minerals here in the main. Again, drone stacking going to kind of shut this down. Roaches dancing around as well. These speedlings have got speed, but that's literally the only thing they have going for them. They have no upgrades, no damage, no Baneling support. Second wave of lings outside the base, but if Impact puts down a full wall, that's it. He doesn't even need to put down a full wall. Actually, with these roaches, he has a physical moving wall. So third base is going to get canceled, but that's a small victory at best for Gamja. In a really rough spot, quite frankly, but Overlord's been picked off on both sides of the map. Gonna clean up that little bit of vision, that little bit of detection, but Gamja's down in army supply. He's down in, technically, tech, because roaches are really cool. And, of course, down in worker supply for quite some time. If there was a way for him to sneak past, get the Banelings into the natural base, he could even out this game really quickly, but that's not going to happen. These roaches, as long as Impact doesn't push out unnecessarily, he'll hold all day. And his opponent, who's only just now kind of making a round of drones here and there, still dedicating to this all-in, this is it. This is going to be all or nothing. I don't know if he'll wait for the Carapace. I kind of I honestly don't know if it'd be worth it or not, because Carapace is not going to make a big deal. These roaches are going to one volley down each of these units. Come on. Gamja, make something happen. I believe in you. I believe in the potato. Potato! Well, Predator aside, we do have the Lings going to fly here. Try and open a pathway for these Banelings to run past, but that's not going to be an easy task. And let's not forget, the Banelings going off on the roaches are not going to necessarily be a bad thing, but he can't afford to lose too many. If he loses too many too early, oh, there's just nothing here in Gamja. GG. We'll give up the second victory to Axiom Esports.